Just got home with my new watch, another G-SHOCK. This is my second G-SHOCK now. This one is the GWM-5610 Tough Solar. I've had the other G-SHOCK and I really didn't like it. If somebody's seen that other video, you will understand why. So this is what's in the box. So you got your manual. Oh, that's a thick manual. Warranty card, and then the watch. It comes in this horrible tin, which is really weird. You get these expensive G-SHOCKs and they come in these horrible little tins. And here we have it. Now, there's two reasons why I got this watch. One, I prefer it a lot more than the other one, which is this one on the screen here. And the other reason was it was cheap. They've had a discount of 25%, and it was cheap anyway compared to Amazon or anywhere else. It was cheaper than buying it retail in the stores. So I got it for just under £75, which it works out about what, $80. So it's not bad. And that's about 80 something euros, I guess. So I will wear it for the next week or so, or maybe next few days, and then I'll come back to you and tell you what I think of it. It feels light, which I quite like. The strap is a bit hard. I don't know if I can change the strap. I probably can. I might have a look at changing the strap and put maybe a different type of strap on there, which is going to be a little bit more comfortable. Excuse me. So that's my first impressions of the watch. I've seen some videos on this, other people who have reviewed the watch, and it seems to be a fairly decent watch for what I need it for, which is just a basic watch. It's solar powered, so I don't have to worry about the battery and so on, but I'll have a read of the manual, see how all the functions work, and then get back to you in the next few days or in a week's time. I've had the watch now for about 3 weeks, and I very nearly made a video almost immediately about the watch, and I'm so disappointed with this watch. I really did want to like this watch. I do like the look of the watch, the way the dial is laid out. It's just really nice, clear, easy to read, and I like that. I mean, you compare that to the other G-SHOCK that I've got, and I made a video about this one and said how ugly it is and how horrible the dial is, and people just lost their minds about that. This one is just, I still think it's ugly. This is a lot better looking. And that's one of the things that drew me to the watch. I thought it's a nice looking watch. It's not too big. It's not too garish. It's got quite a lot of functions. Some of the functions which I like, and it'll be an ideal watch for me. And it was at a fairly reasonable price. It was £75. I said earlier, I think, when I did the unboxing. And normally these retail for over £100. Which is around 100 and something plus dollars or whatever it is, depending on the exchange rate. But as soon as I started using it, there was a massive fail, and that's the buttons. Now the buttons are set really far into the dial, and when you want to use it, so I'm going to try and press this bottom one. You see, I'm pressing it and nothing's happening. I've actually got to use my nail and then push it in. And that is really awkward. And that for me was a deal breaker straight away. That just annoyed me so much. I thought that's just ridiculous. There is no need for it to be so far, all of the buttons to be so far in. Now, I know people will say, well, it's to prevent it from being accidentally changed. You can change the mode or any other functions, but really it doesn't need to be so far in. And even if you did knock it on something, so what? It's just going to change the mode. It's not exactly a big deal. It's not going to sort of reset the entire watch. it would have been much easier for to bring them out just a slightly enough just to see. It's all of the buttons. It's not just that one. It's all of the buttons, and it just makes no sense why it's so far in. Now other people have complained about this on other videos. Now if you're a G-SHOCK fan, you know, one of these fanboys, and you're watching this video and you're looking for validation of the watch that you've bought and you want to hear all the good things. I don't make all these kissy type videos and say what a wonderful watch it is and don't talk about bad points. I will point out all the bad points. So if you're looking for validation, this video is not for you. In fact, this channel is probably not for you, because I don't tell you lies like some people will. They want their likes and their thumbs up and subscribers. I'd rather be honest and tell you what I think of the watches. So if you don't like it, then I suggest you jog on and find a video that will give you the validation you're looking for. So the other thing, the watch, the functions of the watch. Now, the alarm on this watch is terrible, absolutely terrible. It goes off for, it's probably about 5 seconds. Now I set this to go off at 5 AM. I get up at 5 AM every morning, and it's rubbish. It goes off for 5 seconds and you can barely hear it. So this is what it sounds like. Now the video is probably going to enhance the noise, but it's really not loud enough. Now that's it. It's definitely not enough to wake you up in the middle of the night. Now, when I got this G-SHOCK, again, I set this at 5, and it's been going off at 5 AM. I didn't even realize it'd been going off because I just can't hear it. And they're both the same. The alarm functions on these, I just don't understand why they couldn't make it louder. They may as well just not have an alarm. If you're wearing this under a jacket or something, you can't hear the alarm. It's the same with the timer. I have the timer on, and I was wearing it, and the timer went off, and I didn't even realize. So what is the point of having a timer if you can't hear it when the time is finished? Useless, absolutely useless. The other functions it has is world time, which is something I really like because I travel a lot for work, and it's something that's very handy for me. The alarm is just, like I said, rubbish. It's got a 24-hour stopwatch, so the hours will count up here. Now, because the hours count up here, you don't get the time up here, which is a real shame. Now, would I prefer to have the time there? I think what they could have done, like some other watches, what they do, is I'm trying to start it. See what I mean? With the buttons, I'm trying to start it. What'll happen is once it gets to 1 hour, everything just moves along, so you lose the 1/10 of the seconds, but you'd have the time there. I think that would have been a lot better way of doing it. So as soon as this hits 60 minutes, then everything just moves along. That changed to seconds, that changed to minute, and that changed to hours. That would have been a much simpler way to do it. I don't know how many people would use this for a 24-hour countdown or timer. Yeah, it's just something which I think would have been a lot better. I know the GWM-5610, I think it's a 5000. Forgive me for all the numbers. There's so many of them. That one is just the basic watch. That one does have the time here when you start the stopwatch. Now, the biggest issue I have with the stopwatch is the ergonomics of the buttons. Now, this is a stop-start. So, stop, start. Yep. Now, normally, watches will have a reset here. This one doesn't. The reset is over here. So, you stop, start, you'd reset. Instead, stop, start, and you've actually got to come here to reset it, which is a really stupid place to put a reset button. It'd make it so much easier to have it here. For example, this is my Casio I bought nearly 12 years ago, and this has got a stopwatch. So you go stop, start, reset. So much easier. Reset. It just makes no sense. Now you could do it this way, but then you're sort of twisting your whole. I don't understand why it doesn't have the reset button here. Now this button here is for the light. Now the light on this is dreadful. It stays on for 1 second. That's it. You can't adjust the time. You can't add to 5 seconds or 3 seconds like some other watches where you can change the times of how long it's going to stay on. 1 second, that's it. So you press it and then it'll stay on for 1 second, it'll go off again. Now if you're in the middle of the night and you want to look at what time it is, your eyes will need a second just to adjust. So you've pressed it and your eyes are trying to adjust and it's gone off. Then you've got to press it again. You've got to press it at least 2 to 3 times to actually see what time it is. So why not just have a 3-second timer on the light? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. The ergonomics of this watch is just dreadful. I think they may have just... They're counting on the name. Basically, that's what it is. They're counting on the name and they're counting on people just to buy it and just to deal with all these points where they could have very easily moved it around. Now, people might say, well, the original watch was like this and they want to keep it like that. Yeah, but this is almost 2018 now. You know, you've got to look at things change and you've also got to look at improvements. You can't just leave things as they were just because you want to keep them like that. It would have been more sensible to have it here. Now, one of the biggest issues I've got about this watch is the price. I think it is way overpriced for what it is. Now you get all these functions like the world timer and so on and all the other stuff, which is great. But for the price, it's too much. I think for $50 or £50, it would have been a much better watch. The only reason they're charging this amount is because they've thrown all these extra things onto it, like the multiband 6, which you can just see it here. So what that is, you press this button here. Every day it resets the watch to the exact time. It receives signals from one of 6 transmitters, which will give it the exact time, which is great. Yeah, fantastic. But this is a quartz watch. It will lose maybe 10, 15, maybe 30 seconds a year. I don't particularly have to have a watch which is going to be bang on every single day. Some people may want that, but I'd love to know what reason do you need to have it every day. And yeah, people will say, well, it saves me resetting the watch every few weeks or few months or maybe once a year. How difficult is that? You know, it's not such a big deal. How many places do you need to go where you've got to be there on the exact second? It's gimmick which they've used to add the price to justify the price, and for me that's something that's really annoying. I could have done without it. I would, if they'd given me an option, I would have taken the option which doesn't have it and had a cheaper watch. The next issue I've got with this, what again I think is a gimmick, is the solar power. Now, with every day, it's going to be charging itself up. So you can just see at the bottom here, you've got L-M-H, so low, medium, high. That tells you what the power level of the watch is. You've got the similar thing here on my G-SHOCK, other G-SHOCK. Now, you can just see on this one, it's at M. Now, this has been in daylight all the time. So unless there's a fault with the watch, it never gets to high anymore. Well, I don't know what reason that is. Now, both watches you can see have exactly the same time because they've both received the signal. You know, so what? Big deal. So this has the solar charging, which, yeah, it's a great thing. You don't have to change your battery. I don't know, maybe forever. But then again, like I said, if this has got a faulty battery, then it will need changing, because if it's only on medium all the time, there must be some issue with it. So it's charging up the battery. Great. This watch, as well as I think the other one, it has a power saving mode. So in the middle of the night, it shuts down. It turns off all the display, and it just has I think it says the PS at night time, and that's it. And that's to save battery power. But it's solar powered, so it's charging the battery every day. Why does it need to save power? It's a gimmick. It makes no sense whatsoever. Again, let me go back to my other Casio. Nearly 12 years I've owned it. 10-year battery life, and it's still on its first battery, so it's coming up to 12 years. I haven't had to change the battery on this. Now, even if I do have to change the battery, it's going to cost me £2, $2.50, maybe $3 maximum. And that's it. It probably lasts me another 10 years. I mean, even if it doesn't last me 10 years, 5 years. So I've spent $2 or £2 on a new battery. But I haven't had to spend £100 on a watch. Now, it makes no sense. Again, it's the whole gimmicky thing. Look, it's got solar power, so we can charge extra for it. The power saving mode is such an annoying factor. They didn't need to have it on there. It's like having a car with unlimited fuel, but you're turning off the engine at traffic lights to save fuel. But if it's unlimited, then why would you need to save it? It's got unlimited power. Why do you need to have a power saving mode? It's ridiculous. Now it turns off at night, and then it'll turn on again during daylight hours. Well, as soon as the light hits it, it will switch back on. But again, if you want to see what time it is in the middle of the night and everything's off, you've got to turn this on, and then it'll power up again. So what exactly is the point of that? It really, really annoys me when companies use these gimmicky things to justify prices of watches. Whether or not I'll keep this watch, like I said, I really did want to like this watch. It just focuses. For some reason, it's not focusing. And I do like the look of the watch, but the whole gimmicky thing just annoys the hell out of me. Now, I did buy it at £75, which is not the 100 plus that it would normally have cost, but I can still buy it cheaper at the moment. They've got deals on, so I think £50 is a reasonable price for this. £100+ for this watch, I think, is unreasonable. It's way overpriced. Let me go into the details of the watch. So this strap it's a plastic strap. You know, it's not very comfortable. When I was wearing it, I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. And I actually was gonna have the strap changed, but it has 18mm lugs there. Now, that is just ridiculous. Why do they need to make that bit there so small, but then make this so big here? These don't undo the strap. You've actually got pins there. They could have just made the strap there, so I could have just bought a 20mm strap and just put it on. Now I can put a 20mm strap on this, but I have to buy an adapter. Now the adapter is only available in America, which costs something in the region of $15 just for a bit of plastic there. Now if I was to buy that, I'd have to pay $15 for the actual plastic plus $10 for shipping. So it's going to cost me $25 just to change the strap, and that's not even including the strap. Then I have to have another strap put on there. Now these probably will break after a few years. Now this one broke after a few years, so the straps on these are terrible. I hate them. Now I'm not going to spend $25 just to change a strap on this. It's ridiculous for them to do this, to put such small lugs on there when they could have very easily just made it a little bit thicker there and had 22mm or 20mm lugs, and I could have just taken this off, put another strap on, a more comfortable strap. Again, it's just one of their ways of making more money. Now, like I say, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this. This just turned up yesterday, which, whether or not it's any better, but everyone raves about this, and it's alright. I mean, it's a cheap watch. What do you expect for, what is it, $5 or something it cost? Yeah. So now I've got a whole collection of Casios now. And the only one I wear really is this one. This I just bought because just to see what the fuss was about, and it's just a basic watch. It's fair enough. If you're paying that amount of money for it, then yeah, you can't really complain. But these two, overpriced and not worth it in my opinion. I haven't decided. I've still got a few days to decide before my sort of time runs out whether or not I can take it back or not. They give you a 30-day money back guarantee, so I've got about another 6 days left, I think. And I feel as if I will probably take it back because I don't think I'll be wearing it. I'll probably just wear one of my other ones. But a real shame. Overpriced. Nice watch, but definitely overpriced. And if you disagree with me, this is my opinion. You can disagree with me if you wish. But if you do, then tell me why you love this watch so much without all the gimmicky bits in there. Thanks for watching. Now, one of the other biggest issues people rave about this watch is how tough it is. And people throw this off buildings and they'll boil them and they'll do all sorts of other wild and wacky things to see how tough it is. But who's going to be taking it to that extreme? Why are you throwing your watch off a building? Why are you throwing a watch off a cliff? It makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, so if you throw it off a cliff or a building, it'll survive. And yeah, why? If you're one of these people that throws their watch off a building, I'd love to know the reason why. Now, you could be saying, well, it could fall off your wrist. Well, if you're standing on an edge of a cliff, taking your watch off, first of all, that's a bit stupid. Why not take a step back? So if it does fall off your wrist, it's not going to fall off a cliff. And the other issue is, if you're so concerned about the watch being damaged, if you fall off this cliff, and you are, well, it's going to survive. If I was me falling off a cliff, the last thing on my mind would be, oh well, at least my G-SHOCK is going to survive while I plummet to my death. It's a complete and total gimmick. It doesn't need to be that strong. People say they use this as a beta watch. What? Doing what? You're gardening? So what? You could wear anything. And the other thing is, why does anybody want to wear a watch while they're gardening? What are you doing? Timing how fast the grass grows? This whole beta watch thing is nonsense. You've got to have a beta watch. It's just ridiculous. People, I wear this watch when I paint the walls and decorating. You timing yourself watching the paint dry?